Just like with Bitcoin, as I mentioned earlier, averaging in over time, buy a little every month, maybe every payday. This is a long-term investment. If we're right, according to our analysis, according to our research, the technologies around which we have centered our research and which have focused our investments, we believe will go up more than tenfold. That's how much explosive growth we have ahead of us as these technologies converge and create incredible opportunities for investors. They're key to the financial services revolution. So to get people to understand and feel comfortable with that, we don't call it the crypto revolution, it's the digital assets revolution, and it's simply the financial internet. Digital assets, or any Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, all of them exist because they're vying to be the native currencies to the internet. We think Bitcoin is the biggest idea. The opportunities are going to be enormous.
As the market gears up for the next Bitcoin and crypto bull run, Cathie Wood shares her latest outlook and predictions. With momentum building and institutions quietly positioning themselves, Wood says everything is about to change. She emphasizes that the next phase of the crypto cycle is critical, and she's stacking significant bets in her portfolio right now. Wood remains bullish on digital assets, seeing crypto and technology as the top investment opportunities this year. After increasing her positions during the last bear market, she predicts explosive growth on the horizon and encourages investors to seize opportunities even during market downturns. Despite Bitcoin's struggles to recover from its all-time highs, Wood reassures that a long-anticipated surge is coming. Let's dive into her latest interview, where she outlines her market outlook and predictions for the weeks ahead. President Trump just opened the door for 401k funds to invest in crypto, unlocking a nearly $9 trillion market. That means millions of Americans can now put retirement savings into digital assets, and you can start today. If you have an old 401k or employer plan sitting in boring stocks or bonds, roll it over into a crypto IRA with ITrust Capital and position yourself for the crypto boom that's building now. With ITrust Capital, you can buy, sell, and hold crypto 24/7 with top-tier security and enjoy the tax advantages of an IRA, no capital gains taxes like regular exchanges. Plus, they offer the lowest fees in the industry. Open an account today with promo code DOSE7 for a $100 funding bonus. Over 10,000 five-star reviews. They'll help you roll over your funds quickly and easily. Don't wait, beat the crowd.
When Trump was elected, the stock market, it went crazy to the upside, as did our strategy. And why? The promise was deregulation, and that I think is underestimated, how important it is in regulation. It's just, this is not our DNA. We got to get out from under this. Lower taxes, lower interest rates is what he wants, of course, and lower tariffs. What he didn't tell us was exactly how he was going to go about that process. And it has felt chaotic. And I've had to go out and explain what's going on, try to explain what's going on. And I have to tell you, it scared me silly to see what was going on, because I knew that businesses were paralyzed and that we could have a mess on our hands. And we were trying to really get into Trump's head. And I know President Trump listens to art, but he also listens to a lot of other people, one of whom was Peter Navarro, who seemed to have a hold on Trump when it came to tariffs. And yet, when I saw Treasury Secretary Bessent really push aside Navarro, and that could only happen with Trump, I knew we were going to be okay. I knew we were going to be okay. Because throughout all of this chaos, I think what he is trying to do is not only get tariffs on the US down throughout the world, but maybe more important, get non-tariff trade barriers down. And it was unfathomable, for me, because he is sensitive to business, and he must have known that everything was going to stop. But he also knows that he has to sound crazy for other people to take him seriously. And people have to believe he will do crazy things in order for people to take him seriously. And he does do crazy things. I think the stock market is beginning to smell it. I am such an optimist. I really do have to dig down deeply. If you had asked me this a few weeks ago, I would have said, this tariff situation is going to blow the global economy up if we're not careful. So I'm much more settled about that right now. I'd have to say I am concerned that there are going to be people caught out by these new technologies and for whatever reason not willing to adapt, because there are going to be huge opportunities if they do. And so one of the reasons we give away our research, because the opportunities are going to be enormous. Now that the world is moving so quickly into this new world, and Bitcoin has become so successful an investment, many people are trying to figure out, okay, how do I get involved with the new world? And when I say get on the right side of change, we think there's going to be a lot of disruption to the traditional world order. And when I say that in terms of people understanding what I mean, I think many people think Apple is a very safe investment because huge hoard of cash, very successful smartphone, number one market share of smartphones in terms of profitability by far. And yet we can tell you, and this was one of what's called the Mag 6 that led the stock market over the last few years. The top 6 stocks, the market was very narrowly focused on this ilk of stock. And we were saying, you know what? Apple is probably going to be disrupted by artificial intelligence.
Cathie says crypto is being adopted faster than any investable asset in human history. By the end of 2025, there are expected to be 1.1 billion active crypto wallets, marking a pace of growth that's almost unimaginable and setting the stage for the fastest accumulation of wealth we've ever seen. This conclusion comes from a career's worth of research, and every chart and data point tells the same story. Liquidity drives everything, and crypto is positioned to be the best-performing asset of them all. For months, Cathie has been emphasizing to investors that all the key factors are now aligning, creating a period primed for parabolic upward moves in crypto prices.
We do believe we're in a bull market that is broadening out, a very healthy bull market, climbing a wall of worry. There is a lot to worry about. Turmoil in the U.S., and yet we have this wall of worry, the market climbing this wall of worry and broadening out, we think, which is very much important in terms of the market sustaining this bullish momentum. The market broadening out here is really important. And we do think that there's going to be a breakaway for innovation stocks, truly technologically enabled disruptive innovation, we think is going to start outperforming these indices. It does seem like inflation and interest rates are resolving to the downside as we expected, and that tariffs, they're working their way through, and it does appear that businesses are taking the hit, more than half of the hit. Yes, consumers are seeing higher prices for some goods in particular, but businesses are taking about, the last I saw was 54% of the hit. And we do believe that the PPI this week was important, minus 0.1 for both headline and core. And then the CPI, which also came in line with expectations for the most part, with the exception of shelter being higher than expected, and that there's going to be a long tail of falling prices because of the big lags in those indices. The other thing I'd like to focus on is valuation. And valuations have gone up in the innovation space generally. But if you take a look at the last time that happened, we believe that governments have learned the hard way not to throw money at it. It only causes problems for years afterwards. So we think that was a special case. And taking that out, if you look at the last time, relative valuations were at this level, and that would have been 2016-17. What we saw in the years following, 17, 18, 19, is relative valuations actually fell over those years, but the revenue growth and margin expansion associated with many companies in the innovation space overwhelmed that valuation compression. And as we have been illustrating over the last few years, as we think about valuation, we make that assumption that the valuation of our portfolios is going to compress towards a market multiple over the next 5 years. We do not depend on valuation to get our compound annual rate of return expectations. In fact, quite the opposite. We assume we're going to be penalized. And I can tell you, given our valuation models, that the compound annual rate of return we expect is very much in keeping with the minimum 15% hurdle rate of return. In fact, significantly above that. We have been talking about this phenomenon, particularly in 23 and 24, as the market was hitting all-time highs, and it was powered by the largest stocks in a very concentrated indices by historical standards. From an active management point of view, for, I'm going to say 20 years, really this started after the tech and telecom bust, and even more so, it accelerated and gained momentum, this move towards benchmark sensitivity or passive, after 08 and 09. And so we think the pendulum has swung far enough, but we thought that a few years ago as well.
Cathie Wood points out that with real money now flowing in, the crypto market has never been more significant. Institutional investors are driving cryptocurrency prices, setting the stage for potentially massive gains over the next 3 months. Wood believes this will reinforce Bitcoin's long-term relevance, both as an asset and a hedge against currency devaluation, and anticipates that BTC will continue its parabolic rise. A key focus for Wood this year has been the movement in crypto legislation in the House, highlighting growing institutional and governmental interest in the space. While regulatory efforts may face political hurdles, she advises companies she invests in to act boldly now to capitalize on the huge growth potential. Wood notes that ARK's focus on technological advancement represents roughly $7.8 trillion, less than 10% of global equity markets, indicating ample room for expansion. Emerging markets are increasingly relying on digital currencies, and Wood believes decentralized finance is poised to take over many roles traditionally held by financial services companies. What are your thoughts on Cathie Wood's outlook for the financial and crypto markets? Share your perspective in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.